Can anyone see us? Okay, you can see me. Can you hear me? My screen's being a little funky. I got a double screen going on. Got the Solace Bros on. All right, 28 people waiting. We appreciate the patience. If you can hear us, then we're gonna get rolling with the show here. But seating meeting about to be finished. The boys, they are at what, 195. Girls, they're gonna run through that. There's only about 65 girls wrestling, not only, but in terms of a quick seating meeting, we'll say only, because that should run by pretty quickly here. We're here with the athletic director, Mike Pernsteiner, and Mike's going to take us through a little bit of the history of the Husky Invite while we wait for the seating meeting to finish. Hey, sometimes with media, you got to wait for some things to finish up. That's showbiz, baby. So we got Mike here. Mike's a big wrestling guy. Used to coach at Eau Claire North, so does a lot of good things for the sport. And Mike, you corrected me a little bit about 5 minutes ago. 59th annual Husky Invite. So let's hear a little bit about this event that folks are going to be attending tomorrow.
Sure. So 59 years, North High School actually opened in 1962. And I think the next year they had their first wrestling invite. And this has been running consistently every year since then. And neat part about that kind of a fact here is back in 2010, we almost didn't have it. There was a big snowstorm and everybody canceled their tournaments, and we just moved it to a weekend later, and we ended up picking up a whole bunch of teams because they didn't have somewhere to go. So then that's really what made the tournament grow. And then last year, again, those of you that remember, was same weekend with big snowstorm again, and we went from potentially having 26 teams to drop down to I think 12 teams last year, but that's where we picked up some real solid programs again last year due to some snowstorms. So that's been kind of a good thing for us, I guess. So yeah, we haven't ever canceled it. We ran it every year. My first association with North High School or with the tournament was back in 2006. I think at that time they had about 10 teams coming to the invite, 3 mats. Those big old heavyweight mats that you had to carry up from down in the basement wrestling room.
Rollers, right?
Yep. The kids actually carried them up. Our wrestling room was underneath the gym, and so they would carry them up night before. They'd be cold, and then when the tournament was done, they had some fun. They would ride the mats down the hill on the snow and then put them away. So I think it was 2008 we decided we would expand the tournament and go to a few more teams. And at that time we only had 3 of the big old heavyweight wrestling mats, and I think we borrowed a mat. I can't remember what school it was from, but small school that maybe canceled the wrestling programs. We went to 4 mats and brought in 6 teams, and everybody asked, hey, can we bring your JVs next year? So then we decided we'll try to accommodate a JV tournament same time. So we did that, and then we had to buy more wrestling mats, obviously, and we kind of got up to date here, and then grew it every year. A lot of people wanted to come to the tournament. The setup was good for kids. It's as you see this year, and I'm sure Teague, you'll get talking a little bit more about that, but there's some really strong teams at the top, some of the best teams in the state and in the area. And then, some teams with some really good kids, but maybe not the same numbers, but the format gives everybody an opportunity to get their kids matches. And even if they don't win that first match, they kind of gravitate to somewhere where that, they're maybe a little more evenly matched with their opponents and have a nice way to finish out their days at the Husky Invite. So that's been something we're real proud of. And then the other piece is, with the JV, so a team can put everybody on a bus and travel together, I think is important for the sport of wrestling. And now with adding the girls part is pretty awesome too. So.
Mike, seems like you got a little bit of trivia thrown your way. It looks like a Vision Quest podcast. That would be Mr. Brad Crook. He's wondering who won the first Husky Invite.
Well, I will get an answer for you as soon as I'm done here. I will go to the school's library and find the 1963 yearbook and see if I can find that out. But I don't know that information, but that's a very good question. There's been some of the teams that are here have been here like forever. Some of these Auburndale and Ladysmith and Nakusa, they've been coming as long as I've been associated, even before my time. But back in the day, I think some of the Wausau schools and stuff used to come over here as well. So that's an interesting question. I will find out an answer, and I make sure I get that to Teague before at least before we're done tomorrow. How about that?
Mike, we talk about new teams coming in, how teams do want to come in. Simley was kind of one of those twist the fate teams because I believe last year was their first year coming to the tournament. And it wasn't actually due to the snowstorm as well.
Yeah, it was. Coach Short had called me up. He saw we had a big tournament and he said, "Hey, everybody's canceling their tournaments. And are you going to run it?" And I said, we had about 2 or 3 teams that already were here. They stayed the night, and Arrowhead, I think, was one of them. And I said, "We'll run it. Even if it's a quad, we were going to run the tournament, regardless. We were here, and some of our crosstown team here was here. So we had about 4 or 5 teams already, here in Eau Claire. So we said we're going to run it either way. And so Coach Short was real excited about that and came over and brought his team, and, they're a good team. So it got to the finals. As you might remember, it was a lot of Simley kids, but Simley and Arrowhead.
Basically a Simley Arrowhead duel.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there were a few other teams. I know Menominee's here, and they've got some real strong kids, and I know they got a couple state champs, I believe, in their roster, and so they've filled in some of those spots. But yeah, it was an Arrowhead Simley duel. I think that's a fair assessment.
Like just looking at the teams here, what new teams do we have coming to the tournament this year?
I think Lakeville North was one out of Minnesota. I think they intended to come last year, and then with the snow they didn't come. Viroqua out of Wisconsin, Chautauqua was here in the past, and then they decided to come back. Medford is back. They were here at one time and they decided to come back. I know I'm probably missing a few here, but those are kind of the ones that were Stratford. I know Stratford, over the years I talked to them, when Coach Schwabe was coaching there, I knew him real well, and we always talked about maybe bringing them in, and, I know they're coming in this year. So.
And Mike, Brad is saying that this is probably gonna be one of the tougher tournaments in the state, next to the Cheesehead. When you originally came into the school district, was your vision to make the Husky one of the best not only one day, but one of the best tournaments in the state in general?
Well, I don't think that was necessarily the vision. I think, when I came here, the wrestling program was, it wasn't doing real well. Numbers were down and things. And so you do like every coach does, to build your numbers. But then we started looking at our schedule, and, to be the best, and you want your kids always to strive to be the best. We decided, you have to see some of those wrestlers, and what better place to see those wrestlers than in your own place. And it was a big deal for our kids. It's tough, to win this tournament. And so, it's a goal for our kids. If you can be a Husky Invite champion, that was a big deal. And so we wanted to make sure, if you won it, you earned it. And so yeah, we've had some teams come along the way. I know Zumbrota Mazeppa was a good team a few years back. They were here out of Minnesota. Pem, Ellsworth has been here. So we always tried to make sure that we had some of those top teams as well. So.
Mike, you kind of talked about early on in the days of the Husky, you had the big rolly mats and whatnot. And it kind of had me thinking, well, you brought up during the meeting tonight, you got to go to Eau Claire Memorial to set up mats. What's the situation with that? Like, logistically speaking, yeah, well, there's 350 JV wrestlers. Who knows how many? I mean, varsity wrestlers, it looks like it's averaging 16 a bracket pretty much right now, and then 65 girls wrestlers. What's the mat layout going to be for tomorrow for folks? Maybe it's their first time attending. Where are folks going to want to be directed to?
Sure. So we're kind of a traditional 1960s high school, so it's a basketball gym. So we've got 4 mats in one gym and 4 mats in a smaller gym. So, it's kind of 4 and 4. So it'll start out the day, they'll kind of be divided by top half, bottom half of the bracket. But then once we get through that first round where the kids kind of gravitate towards the, the winner side of the bracket, towards the finals, they'll be in the larger gym, and then the other kids will compete throughout the rest of the day in the smaller gym. And then over at Memorial, we've got 5 mats, and we'd love to have more, but for a high school to dig up 13 was a challenge. So if we had more, we would certainly have more.
Yeah, and just for perspective, the bi-state tournament, which has about 60 kids a bracket, that's 10 mats. So you guys are working with a lot as well. Just trying to jog your memory a little bit from last year. I just remember it was my first Husky Invite last year as well. 12-team tournament, but man, some of the finals matches were basically, they'd be state finals matches in some scenarios. I think of Max Ramberg versus Soren Herzog at 195. I think the one thing I really remember about that match was Ramberg was winning 6-4. Herzog got 4 escapes. I'm like, okay, Ramberg's controlling this match. Might have been the Wisconsin bias, but who knows? Herzog got the takedown at the end. Then he gets the takedown in overtime. I'm like, oh, these Simley guys are pretty good. And I should have known that after they had like 8 more guys in the finals too. Do you have a match? Do you happen to remember a match from last year that sticks out? We'll start with the last year for now.
It's really hard. I think last year it was a tough year to really pay attention to a lot what was going on because of the storm and the stuff. Every match I thought was great. I will say, and this is going to be my Eau Claire North bias, not only my Wisconsin bias, but we had a kid win it at heavyweight, and it probably wasn't the toughest bracket, and it wasn't that featured match, but knowing this individual was a really big deal for him and our team. And so to me, that one really hit home, to see a kid come and get to be a Husky Invite champ. And, it was a good win. Maybe he would have if all the teams were here, but things fell that way, and real happy for that young man. So that was probably the one that stuck with me.
Well, you think I was Lawan Jones, right? Yeah, also he was competing for the varsity spot. He was a backup heavyweight at some point during the year. And folks, I remember calling that match last year, and I was like, all right, we got the last match of the evening. We got updated brackets. You're gonna nice little program that folks are gonna get tomorrow, made by John Mackey, the spreadsheet document master himself. So folks, looks like the meetings are finishing up. I just guess going off of that match, like I do remember the gym was going pretty crazy during that. And you think of the names, you think of the Durkops, you think of Mason Phillips, who didn't even win a Husky Invite. Just a great wrestling story. And that's why we love wrestling. Right. You have Lawan Jones, who spent some time splitting varsity, comes in and he had himself a day. It was absolutely awesome. So that's, that was from last year, I guess. Do you have an all-time Husky match that sticks out to you?
Yeah. And I'm going to probably, there was a kid, Connor Williams, out of La Crosse, and kid out of Osseo, Minnesota. And I probably should remember his name. It was one of those memorable last names, and right now it's escaping me, but that thing was a barn burner. And I think the La Crosse kid might've even had a knee injury with about 20 seconds left in the match, and got patched up and finished the match. And it was a heck of a match. And right now it's escaping me that kid's last name, but kid that went on to wrestle at the next level too.
What year was this?
Boy,
like 16, 17.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. Now you're really taxing my memory here, but obviously, without being biased, anytime a North Husky won the tournament, I was pretty excited too. But that one was kind of a special match. Just the nature of it, how they battled. You find the name here, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, how did I remember that name? But
well, I always think Osseo as in Osseo Fairchild, but Osseo, Minnesota. You want to hold this for a second? I'm going to type it.
I'm going to fill some space here while Teague's typing here. A lot of good matches though. Like I said, we had the Zimbrota kids over here. I know Mason Phillips was a good wrestler for North, state champ, only state champ we've had. I remember him battling with some of those kids, even at the lighter weights.
Whoa, you guys had pool play going on.
Yeah, well, that's
So wait, when did you guys? I mean, this is another thing that we can talk about. I think we're gonna be talking about some seating stuff here in just a minute. But so you guys used to have like a scramble format.
well.
What made you change to the bracket style?
Well, in the day, I was talking about this, and not to, make things sound, like walking uphill through the snow both ways, but I used to roll out the mats, make the coach's dinner, and then run track wrestling myself at the same time. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out the best bracket to use. And one year, I think we used a 24-man bracket with pool play, just because it fit the number of wrestlers we had. Then one other year, I think we went to a 32-man bracket. And those of you that are track wrestling folks out there that probably run that a little better than I do, I panicked midday because no matches were coming up, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me what the heck was going on with that tournament. And I called Justin Tritz over at Track Wrestling when he was running it. And Justin said, well, if you look at it, the reason no matches are coming up is because you got buys on the entire round of matches, because I used the 32-man bracket and we only had about 16 guys in a bracket. And so that was one of my more embarrassing moments, but yeah, I don't, that was probably right around that 2012-14 time frame in there when I did a little experimenting. And
we're looking at 2015 now, really going through the time capsule at the moment.
yeah,
So Connor Williams did win it as a sophomore. People are just basically watching me nerd out on track wrestling right now. Nope, also the wrong year. So we're gonna go to 2016. Was that your biggest technical difficulty?
No. Years ago, our school did not have Wi-Fi in our gym. And so they put little Wi-Fi extenders, I believe they called them, in various spots. And there was a couple times where we had to beg the folks in the bleachers to not be on the Wi-Fi so we could get the tournament run to the mats. And so that was probably our biggest technical glitch that I remember, and sweating that one out, trying to run the computer and figure out what the heck was going on. So
all right, folks. So it looks like they are on their heavyweight seeds right now. Mike, I thank you for coming in and filling the time. If you want to go give Jake a little kick in the butt for me, well, no.
I will do my best, but I don't want to coach tomorrow, so
No.
I want to keep them.
That's fair. No, yeah, no, you're good.
All right,
I'm gonna, folks, we appreciate you sticking with us. Like I said, just part of showbiz. Mike, really appreciate it. We're gonna talk about last year's Huskies tournament. I know we got some Simley folks on. We got some Kakana folks on. Solace Bros, can we get Wi-Fi tomorrow? Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask right now. I can text Mike too. Got 57 people on right now. We really appreciate the patience. Wi-Fi, there is a guest Wi-Fi that's not too bad. I'm actually using it on my MacBook right now, which can be a little bit scary of a proposition, but everything's working just fine. I'm gonna knock on wood for that situation. But no, I'm actually really glad. It started snowing today, and every time I've been to Eau Claire, the last 3 times I came to Eau Claire, it's been snowing. And Eau Claire North coach Jake Rebhan said that he was going to uninvite me from the Husky if it happened to snow again. So yeah, thankfully I'm not that much of a bad luck charm for Eau Claire North's program. But yeah, Mr. Solace, there is guest Wi-Fi, so no worries about that. Oh, I was going to pull up last year's Husky real quick. Also, just a good weekend of wrestling in general, folks. I know I'll probably be spending my breaks checking out results from Battle on the Bay, which my co-host Steve will be at commentating. Good tournament in Sun Prairie. Devils duels in the Dells, though. I think they're actually wrestling a girls tournament right now tonight. So that's good stuff. Probably also tomorrow, I'm really excited. We're going to have some special guests on. So I'm basically going to be doing the commentary solo for the most part, I would say. But it's hard to go by yourself if you have about 8 to 10 hours of airtime to fill. So just a little short list of the special guests we plan on having on. We're gonna have Mike on at some point during the day to talk about wrestling during the day and whatnot, how everything's been moving logistically. Hopefully it's nothing but good news. We're gonna have Jake Rebhan on to talk about how organizing this tournament can go, how you go about seeding a 32 team tournament like this. We're also going to have, see the Vision Quest podcast on here. Brad Crook's going to join me on the mic as well. We spent about, 6 hours on podcast together now. That's only with 2 podcasts. Highly recommend checking out the Vision Quest podcast, by the way. Brad he's a great person to talk with. Just great to have a conversation with, even if we're not recording. He just makes everything you feel like everything you say so validated. It's just awesome. Not only talking with him, but listening to his interviews with other folks as well. If you're a wrestling fan, then that's definitely something that you want to tune into. So I'm going to have Brad on. Speaking of fellow podcasters, I know we got a couple of Simley folks. Oh, Josh Raymond, actually. Okay, all the commenters we're going to have on. Josh, let me get the link. If you actually check the info in this, if you go to show more on the video, it'll say watch the Husky Invite here. So Josh, if you let me know, if you click show more on like the description, it'll say watch the Husky Invite here. It'll take you to that page. Steve Ryan, Arrowhead does need a shout out. Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about Arrowhead in a second here, because I'd say the Arrowhead folks are a large part of why I'm still doing it this year. But another person we're going to have on tomorrow, Josh Raymond, who just commented. He is the host of the Alan Josh Show. Basically, I'd say like the Minnesota version of the Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast. And I love listening to their stuff. I think one of my favorite parts about the Alan Josh Show, I mean, I get a lot of my Minnesota wrestling knowledge from it, but got to have Josh on for our bi-state preview, and he just has a lot of good knowledge on the show. But they have this great outro song. So like we have our intro song that we like copyrighted. Like I bought it from a copyright website and I can use it because I like paid for it. Alan Josh got the hookup, man. If Josh wants to like explain how he got that set up, I would love to hear it in the comments. But I mean, it's literally, I think it's like the Alan Josh Show rap. I don't know the specific name of the rap, but yeah, gonna have Josh on the mic at some point tomorrow. I'm gonna see if we can get a few other people. Maybe if Randy Farrell's listening, maybe we can get him to make an appearance as well. We know he'll be there. He'll be busy yelling in the corner though for his team. Hopefully we see the baby blue singlets for Arrowhead in the finals. Speaking of Arrowhead though, Steve Ryan making a great point. I mean, not only a good team this year, but last year Arrowhead made the trek up during the middle of the day to beat the Storm, something I didn't do. It took me like 3.5 hours to get from La Crosse to Eau Claire. Basically, when I go from La Crosse to Eau Claire, it's just like straight up. But I had to cut across to Sparta, go up to Black River Falls, and then I chugged along on the interstate the rest of the way. I was basically the only car on the road. But I was so disheveled by the time I got to my friend's apartment. They had the setup for me for doing this live pre-seed show. And it was Jake's idea for the pre-seed show as well. But I got done with it, and we had like quite a few people watching it. And I got to talk to the Arrowhead people the next day. They're like, yeah, we were all hanging out in the hotel, like watching in the lobby. And I was like, oh, this thing like actually hit. This came through. And even Randy told me that this is something that we should try for other tournaments. So I know I've been rambling for a long time. Once we get to the actual seating stuff, that's what folks are here for. Thanks. We got 62 people on right now. If there's something like there's stuff other people want to talk about, feel free to comment in the chat section. I'll keep the YouTube page up here. But Arrowhead, great team, great program. Obviously, they're going to make some noise this year. Being a Holman coach, we've been a part of some pretty good battles at Team State the last few years. I keep clicking on the wrong Husky invite. That's great. This is Brad. I know you're a comedian. This is basically like doing improv right now. Just keep throwing out yes and. Oh, we got Maya Casey on. Brad is an awesome dude. Speaking of the Caseys, gonna have the Casey brothers. Vision Quest. What are your watch out fors? Like, are we talking about teams? Well, I guess I might have just listened to my first watch out for, but you don't really watch out for Braden Casey. You know he's a good wrestler. I would Oh, watch out fors. That's okay. Yes, and all about the yes and. I was talking about the Casey brothers real quick. We got Braden and his brother. Man, I was just in the seating meeting. Oh, wait, do we have rankings right here? Bailey, who's a freshman. I'd love to see the Casey brothers at some point win a couple of state titles in the same year. That seems like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree right now. I haven't seen Bailey Casey wrestle yet, but I love watching freshmen wrestle for the first time just because there's so many unknowns. You just kind of see results. I think of Keegan O'Toole as a person, his freshman year, he made it to state finals. He was going against Tristan Jenny, who was a state champion already at this point. And some guy who was a Holman youth coach picked O'Toole in confidence picks and picked him pretty high for points. I was like, dude, you're picking against Jenny? And he said, O'Toole's the real deal, man. And the first time I saw Keegan O'Toole wrestle was in that state finals match. And now I'm the president of the Keegan O'Toole fan club. So yeah, Brad, I'll keep running through weight classes here in terms of guys or matchups that I'm excited to see. Also, I think this might be updated given the updating of the seating. The guys are done. I think they're running through the girls pretty quickly now. All right, girls are done being seated. So we are going to get Rebhan on here in just a few moments. I'm going to keep my Zoom screen up. But running through 132 pounds. Did not see Luke Dukes in the bracket. 138, that's going to be a pretty good bracket as well. Get to see Grayson Clark and Kellen Ari are in the same bracket. I know Clark did tech Ari, but it's always tougher to wrestle a guy the second time around, and Ari's just a dude that always brings it. So anytime he gets a chance to be on the mat, I mean, he's got a tough path to get through if he wants to make it to Grayson in the first place. I don't want to give away too much in the moment as we're going to be getting these brackets up here, but yeah, team wise, I guess I'll run through the teams here real quick just to give folks a little synopsis on stuff. We'll talk more about individuals once Jake gets on to the Zoom call here, but teams that are ranked in the state right now, we got from Wisconsin, Kaukauna ranked first in a Division I, Arrowhead is 4th, and Holman is 10th. I mean, Kaukauna and Holman dueled each other in the state finals last year. Arrowhead and Holman duel each other in the quarterfinals. Both very good duels. You have Stillwater, who's just kind of a perpetual powerhouse in Minnesota. They're ranked 2nd in Minnesota AAA, which for the folks listening at home, if you want me to put the stream in the chat, by the way, I can do that as well. I don't need to make people look for it as much, but AAA is Minnesota's like Division I. It's their biggest division. So Stillwater being good in that division is pretty solid. Then Division II or Minnesota AA teams, you have Simley, who's ranked number 1. I don't know, Josh, if you're still on the show, how many state titles in a row does Simley have? I know it's got to be quite a few, but I mean, it had a pretty dominant performance at Team State last year. Neelsville Greenwood Loyal ranked 3rd in the state, right? Simley's, so Maya, Simley is ranked 1st in Division II or Minnesota 2A, and Stillwater is ranked 2nd in Minnesota 3A. I'm sorry about that if I accidentally said the same names. But Baldwin Woodville is ranked 6th in Division II. St. Croix Falls is honorable mention. Thank you, Mr. Salas. It's 4 team state titles in a row for Simley. Then in Division III, you have Stratford, who is ranked 4th. So, I mean, honestly, if we're talking a team race right now, I know Kaukana's got a deep team, but Simley's going to have a lot of finalists, man. I have a hard time seeing anyone beat Simley. I know I got to watch him a couple weekends in a row last year, and it kind of turned me on to the Simley crowd. I guess maybe I'm a bit of a bandwagoner if my favorite like Minnesota high school team is just the best high school team in Minnesota, or one of the best, people would argue. But yeah, I have a hard time going against Simley here. Kaukauna definitely has the hammers. They're going to have some high place winners as well. I'm just again having a hard time going against Simley for the team race. I guess Stillwater too. And we're going to be talking about Stillwater. They have quite a few individuals that we'll be talking about. Stillwater has a 7th grader wrestling at 106 pounds. He's Brandon Agam's son. Brandon Agam is the Golden Gophers head coach. Brandon won't be there tomorrow. As I was checking out his schedule, looks like he's going to be in California on Sunday. So I think that's a pretty quick turnaround for a flight. But I'd say Grayson Agam is someone that we should be keeping track of. He's from Stillwater. Obviously, another team in the team race is Arrowhead. Arrowhead's probably going to be a team we could see have, maybe 5-6 finalists, just thinking about it off the top of my head. But after going through that seeding meeting or being in it for most of it, there was there's going to be some brackets where there's going to be good dudes that are going to be hard pressed to make the finals. I'm gonna text here real quick, see when we're gonna be getting this thing started. All right, looks like Mr. Rebhan is jumping on, so we got 65 viewers on. Wow, we've been live for 30 minutes. Wow. All right, love to see it. So, folks, we're gonna get Mr. Jake Rebhan on. He's been the Eau Claire North Husky head coach for 6 years now. He's really, the things that him and Mike have done with this tournament have just been absolutely impressive. And just kind of like I said, this is kind of his brainchild here. I got to give credit where it's due. And it was definitely it was his idea for this seating thing. Now we ran with it, and hey, now we're going to be talking about it in just a few moments here. Again, everyone, appreciate the patience. Currently have 62 people on. And I'd honestly say for how much wrestling guys talk, we started the seating meeting at 7:30. Ended it at like about 8:45. When you have 26 weight classes, I would say we made pretty good work. Like I said, I've been on a couple of podcasts for the Vision Quest podcast where we talked for 3 hours, and yeah, it's just kind of in our nature to talk a lot. Or actually, folks, you're going to begin to look at the Track Wrestling like administrator dashboard, which is always fun to see. Vision Quest. Did you check out the concessions? Oh, yeah, I did. They have really good concessions here. They have Skittles, and that basically sells it for me. I always start my morning commentating with Skittles and Mountain Dew. It just gives me a quick little jump to start the day. And then I keep it going with another Mountain Dew in the middle of the day. I get something lunch-based, maybe like a slice of pizza or a brat. That's kind of my eating schedule. Not maybe as healthy as a normal wrestler, but I guess that's just the commentary life. Oh, look at that. Jake Rebhan North entered the waiting room. Here we go, folks. Drum roll, please. Oh, Jake, you are muted.
All right, I'll call you tonight.
No worries.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm going to see if the folks can hear you real quick, but
A quick mic check.
Jake, I think you're everyone's hero right now. They just had to listen to me talk for about 30 minutes. So
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, sorry about that. We just our seating committee just went weight class by weight class. We just did one final check, and then right before we were going to hop on, we had a coach just scratch 4 more wrestlers. So we just had to make sure we just checked over the weight classes real quick, and everything looked good. So they just got done. They just gave everything to me, and I'm sitting here at table number 1. There's the Daktronics dog den behind me, where the Dak kids will be running our live stream, and Teague will be broadcasting all day long. So we'll get after it.
Jake, I didn't want to say I did get antsy for a second, but as wrestling folk, we make a positive about things, right?
That's right.
And I said we had 14 guy weight classes, 12 girls weight classes to start out. I think a couple got combined.
Yep.
But seating meeting started at 7:30. We got through 26 weight classes in an hour 10. Like for wrestling guys, that's actually an accomplishment.
That's
Like
pretty good.
we did great there. So, and we have 70 people on right now. I think they're pretty excited to see how these seeds worked out.
There you go.
I would say let's start out with the ladies here. Do we still have about 65 on the are we gonna share the
Yep, I'm trying to share my screen right now. So it says host is disabled, screen sharing. So
who can share? All participants.
oh, now we got her. All right. Are we on?
All right, folks. Can everyone see Jake Rebhan's screen right now? I just want to make sure because I can't see my own screen and I'm stressing out a little bit about that. But
Boy, you can plug it in. You can dual monitor there. Can they see the seeds at 100 pounds?
I do.
Need somebody out there.
There's a lot of. All right, perfect. We got the screen up here.
All right, so starting with the ladies, first off, we did combine 2 weight classes, just trying to get matches for the girls, and might be a little movement tomorrow as well. We'll kind of see how this shakes out, but we got some nice looking brackets. Really excited about the girls tournament. We're giving out a trophy for the first and second place team, and we're also doing a trophy for the most outstanding female wrestler at the tournament tomorrow. So starting it off with 100 pounds, we've got Anna Kos from Simley, Nora Lee from Holman, Adriana Vang from Holman, Gabby Hopkins from Holman, and Shelby Garcia from Bruce. So those are your participants at 100 pounds. And it says 8th at place here. We just got done with the seating meeting. So didn't we just place top 6 at the girls last year?
They placed top 6, but if you made the consolation semis, you just got planted as 8th.
You got planted as 8th. So yeah, that's what we thought. That is, we just actually got done talking about that right now. So.
Lee's my champion pick.
Okay, that's your champ. So, all right. Moving on to 107 pounds for the girls. Okay, leading off, number 1 seed is returning state champ Charlie Raymond of Simley. Number 2, Tatum Carey, Eau Claire North. 3, Savannah Danielson, Wausau West. Undefeated versus girls last year, it says down in that other criteria. And beat some girls that were in the finals at state last year. So pretty tough competitor there at 107 pounds. 4 is Bella Zhang of Holman. 5 is Amia Leverance. And 6 is Brianna Leigh Gutowski of Wausau West. And that's your bracket at 107.
I gotta say real quick, and we can't count out the Carey versus Danielson match, but I saw Danielson wrestle at the Malachek duels this summer.
Yep.
She broke her arm skiing last year. She hurt herself like doing skiing. So she couldn't make it, but she did beat both the state finalists at her weight class like during the year. That was one of the things the coaches told me. And man, she was a butt kicker at those summer duels. And at Charlie Raymond, I think Josh can correct me on this. I think she did either win state or made state finals in her girls division in Minnesota last year.
State champ is a 7th grader last year. So she's an 8th grader. She's our number 1 seed right now. She's a returning state champ.
Charlie, also an impressive performance at the Husky last year as well. 2 Simley folks placing top 4. So Charlie Raymond and Savannah Danielson, I think that's appointment viewing for folks who are fans of girls wrestling.
I think regardless of how that shakes out, it's going to be a wild match.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Can't cut out Carey. That's bulletin board material for you, Rebhan.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be definitely sure to mention that after weigh-ins tomorrow. So
all right, 114.
Oh, so this is the one that we combined. So we're moving on. We got 120. Got a nice bracket here. Leah Lukey sitting on top right now at 6-0. Danielson, Wausau West, is sitting at the 2, 16-5 last year, won the WWCA Girls Challenge, and then bumped up for the state tournament, just finished 1 match short of placing. And then Maisie Komatsu at the 3, Peyton Wadalik at the 4, Journey Wood at the 5, and we've got Haley Hopkins of Holman at the 6. So solid bracket here. Another Danielson from Wausau West.
Yeah, sisters.
I figured as much. So.
I always I don't say it for sure. I know for sure on that one. So Someone else will be like, oh, they're siblings or cousins.
Yep.
All right, next one up here.
Moving on to 126 pounds. Okay, we got Natalie Clavetter, who placed 5th at state last year. She's our number 1 seed. Number 2 seed is Sydney Schindler, Eau Claire North, making her first tournament of the year. So she doesn't have a record yet, but she was 2 matches short of the podium last year. And she had 22 wins over girls last year. I think one of the highest in the entire state, won a lot of matches. Then Kylie Simpson Hudson 3rd, Paige Hoff, St. Croix Falls 4th, Allison Wythe Holman 5th, Meredith Korish 6th, Anna Strasser is 7th, Josie Olson is 8th, and then we've got Addison Rootson at the 9 and Ava Kellerman at the 10. So might have to do a little bit of work trying to make some 8-man brackets tomorrow. So this might look a little bit different. We'll see what happens.
I feel pretty confident in saying it could be an all BRC final.
It could turn out that way. So it definitely is looking like that with those top couple of seeds. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how some of those quarterfinal, semifinal matches shake out.
All right, next up here, 132.
Are you making your picks? I don't want to go too quick here. So.
Oh, I was going championship. You know, I disrespected Eau Claire North a little earlier. I do really like Clavetter, but I'm gonna go with Sydney Schindler. I just feel like every time I've seen her wrestle, she's gotten a lot better. Like every tournament.
All right, we gotta make a pick at 120 too.
Give me Ludke. I'll take the 1 seed.
She's 6-0. Yeah, just won a tournament, won the old black shirt invite. So 32 is an interesting one. So Amira is the number 1 seed at 1 and 4. She's the only one that has some seedable criteria. Then Madeline Lee, Wausau West, Egrich is the 3, Tina Jones is the 4, and Grace Dolan is the 5. And again, just I guess getting rewarded for going out there and wrestling some matches and having some criteria there. So.
I like these brackets on both sides, just kind of wide open. You gotta keep people guessing, give someone a chance to make a name for themselves. One of these girls could come out and just have a really dominant day. Since there isn't a lot of information to work with, I think I gotta go a little biased here and take Maddie Agerich at 132 from Holman.
All right, moving on to 138 pounds. We got Nevaeh Nwashka of St. Croix Falls. And she's 3 and 1. McKenna Vance is the 2 at 1 and 4. Emily Fisher is the 3. Shayella Clark is the 4. Shannon Burlam is the 5 for Cadott. And then the 6 is also Eliana Kempen of Cadott. Nice to see some Cadott girls on the bracket. They're coming down. They've got a nice group of girls this year that are going to be competing, and a big ad for us for the Husky. We're super excited about that.
Give me Nevaeh.
All right, going with the
St. Croix Falls.
145 top seed is 5-0 Shelly Bowman, placed 3rd for Eau Claire North last year at the state tournament. Shaylee Olson Simley is the 2. Anya Mueller is the 3. Maddie Hall is the 4. Alexa Sack is the 5. Kendall Roy is the 6. Hollis Barnhart is the 7. And that's your 145 seeds.
That 4-5 between the 2 Holman girls, between Maddie and Alexa. I mean, both really good athletes, and they both improved a lot as wrestlers the last couple of years. That's going to be interesting. And I think the winner of that, if it's like a straight bracket, going against Shelly, like as a Holman supporter, I think that could be a good gauge match for them. But Shelly's my pick because I've heard really good things about her. Like I would say Shelly's probably the favorite on paper against either of those Holman girls. I think she's the favorite in this bracket right now. There's I didn't hear it from you, Rebhan, so I don't feel bad saying this, but I've heard she's going to be in the running for a state title this year. And after what I saw from her last year, if she spent her time working in the off season, I 100% believe it. So I'm going to take Bowman to win the Husky, winning the home invite.
There you go. She's going to be definitely one to watch regardless tomorrow. I'm not going to make any picks or anything like that, but she's going to be one to watch. Another one to keep an eye on is Evelyn Vetch, 152, 4th place state winner, or 4th place at state last year. And then you've got Asaguedo from St. Croix Central, Ariana Rupert, and Darian Jensen. And that rounds out your bracket at 152 for the girls.
Oh, I mean, the pick here got to take last year's state place winner at 152, Evich from Holman. Got to go with her because she was great last year and put a lot of time in again in the off season, and seen her at a couple of practices this year. She's not only stepped up as a wrestler, but as a leader as well. It's makes her an easy person to root for too.
That's awesome. Moving on to 165 pounds. Maddie Zuby placed 6th last year for Viroqua. Kylie Baldwin at 2 for Eau Claire North. Layla Ellingson at the 3. Jessica Peterson at the 4. Alexis Mayer at the 5. Rianne Furstenberg at the 6. And then Zaranda Mason of Cadott at the 7. So that is your seeds right now, as they said, for 165.
Cool thing about Zub is her and Vetch, Viroqua and Holman, I'd probably say like 45, 50 minutes apart. Zub and Vetch wrestled a couple of times, one time at Bi-State, and then they wrestled later in the year as well. So I think that's a little bit of area like iron sharpening iron there. So I'm gonna roll with Zub in this one.
All right. And then your last bracket for the girls, we did have to combine 185 and 235 just to make a 5-person bracket here. So Arrowhead gets the top seed. She's the state runner-up last year at 235. Camry Loken of Eau Claire North gets the 2 seed, 6th place last year at state. Sage Penny of Wausau West is the 3. Kendra Hammond is the 4. And Christina Nordstrom is the 5.
I'm really excited. If this thing goes chalk, I'm really excited for the potential finals match here between Cambry and Kate. I don't know if they wrestled at Girls State last year, and I don't think they ended up
on different sides of the bracket. Yeah,
different sides,
top side, versus bottom side. So didn't actually get to wrestle her last year. Didn't match up, but yeah, that could be a really fun finals match.
I would say pick wise here. I mean, easier said than done. If the game plan is to beat Kate Reed, pin her in the first period because you don't want her to take things to the mat in the second or third, because she made it to the finals on her mat skill in that top and bottom situations last year. So I'm gonna take Reed in what's gonna be a good like a 1 or 2 point finals match. I'll say.
That's good to know. I tell you what,
that's what we got for the girls. How many girl wrestlers were there? I guess there was 12 teams. But
well, the hard thing is last year we were around 40, 50 girls, and then we got snowed out. We've got 65 girls signed up right now for tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with weigh-ins and all that stuff. But it's definitely moving in the right direction. I was hoping to have around 70 for this year. And obviously now once you get to 70, the next year the goal is to get to 100. So I think it's just going to keep getting bigger. I know like in this area, especially, just seen a big explosion, and it'll be fun. It's going to be in terms of the team race. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit. Wausau West, Nakusa, Eau Claire North, Holman all have some pretty solid teams. Top 2 teams are taking home a trophy tomorrow, so it should be pretty interesting.
Team race wise, I know Wausau West could potentially have 2 champions, but I think he got about 60, 70 girls, and 2 teams make up 27 of them. I think it's going to be a numbers game with this one. So I think it's going to come down to Eau Claire North and Holman. And I think there's just kind of roughly looking through it. I think I'd probably had a few more Eau Claire North girls pegged to make the finals, maybe win. I'm gonna go with Eau Claire North in a close one.
All right, there we go. That's a team pick. So we're gonna move on here to the boys bracket. So I got our athletic director coming in real quick just to make sure all our score clocks are working here. So I'm gonna
real quick here, Jake. We're gonna run through the top 8 seeds for the guys. If we there's just a lot of wrestlers on the varsity side. So folks, this is where you get a chance to diplomatically, remember there's kids that read this as well. Diplomatically, if you don't see someone in the top 8 that you think should be there, or if you have something to say about the seating, like this is your chance to like speak your opinion. But remember, diplomacy is always fun. So we'll I'm excited to talk about these brackets. I didn't get to see the last few, so they're going to surprise me as well. But
and I'll say this is a tough tournament with some unreal competition, some great teams. I think I think the seeding committee did a great job, but it's early in the year. Upsets happen. Somebody makes a name for themselves every year at this tournament. So What's really fun for me tomorrow is when everything is done and we reflect and we look at the kids that were, 9, 10, 11, 12 and scrapped their way to a top 5 place and got on the podium. And that happens every year, and I think seeding is an imperfect system. If it was perfect, that would be worrisome, honestly, if we could just look at a match and know, you just don't know. And what a great sport that, 2 kids meet in the center and headgear, shoes, singlet, and get after it. And one kid goes out and gets his hand raised. So our seating committee did a great job. And the criteria is listed in order off to the left. A lot of good things came out of that. And those were directly from the phone calls they had with coaches. So starting off at 106 pounds, Auburndale, Derek Goddard currently sitting at the number 1 seed. Austin Grzinski of Simley at the 2. Benny Olson of Prescott is the 3. Roman Schmidt Stratford is the 4. Drew Ryder of Bloomer Colfax is the 5. Bailey Casey Menominee is the 6. Jaden Torres Arrowhead is the 7. And Caden Hahn of St. Croix Falls is the 8. Those are your top 8 seeds at 106 pounds.
Thing I love about early season 106, I already brought up the name here, but I think Bailey Casey at the 6, I think that's a good spot for him. Gets a chance to prove himself if he wins out against potentially the 3, 2, and 1 seed. But to even say he'd get to the final, you got to go through Austin Grzinski, who had very good teammates around him, and just by kind of proxy, Grzinski became very good himself by the end of the year last year, as you can see by the seeding criteria.
I think you always got to keep an eye on these Arrowhead kids. Deschutau and Mulvaney were both 7 seeds, and both ended up in the finals at this tournament. So you just got to keep an eye on those Arrowhead kids, especially when they're down there at 7. So.
Do I gotta make picks? Steve and I were gonna rotate picks after the seeds came out off air, but if you
do whatever you want to do, if you just let me know when you want me to roll it to 113. I'm coaching tomorrow, and this is obviously I don't have a dog.
Oh yeah, all right. So yeah, I'll try to run through a little quick here. So Solace Bros, Grizz should be number 1, so we get to see Grizz prove it. I guess I'll just say 106. I love. A lot of unknowns, a lot of younger guys. I think we're going to have a lot of questions answered tomorrow about where some of these guys are at. It's going to be a fun bracket. And I'll give my first choice for a pick. It might not be my absolute pick. All right, they want picks. I'm going to start off with Simley here. I went a little light on Simley picks last year and I learned my lesson. So I'm going to take Rosinski off the bat.
All right, there you go. You got a Simley kid at 106.
Well,
moving on to 113 pounds, we have 2 returning state qualifiers. You got a state champ in Brayton Casey. He's the number 1 seed at 113. Cole Steffen is sitting 2, returning state qualifier for St. Croix Falls. Then Colin Knoyer, Stratford. Brady Gessler of Chautauqua Weyerhaeuser Prairie Farm. Nolan Thompson of Whitehall. Jake Kos of Simley. Aiden Anderson of Bloomer Colfax. And then the 8 seed is Davey Carpenter of Arrowhead.
I was just pulling up Stratford's bracket here. Does it show their grade on there? Is Colin a freshman?
You know what? I can click on that. I know the Knoyer name pretty well from my time.
I'm guessing I want to guess Trenton's his older brother.
So I believe so.
Oh, here we go. Colin Knoyer, a freshman. No, another good Stratford freshman. Imagine that.
Kidding.
I mean, pick wise here, I'm gonna go with Casey on the picks here. I still think this is a deep bracket, but I think Casey's a cut above everyone else in this one. So yeah, that's what I got at 113. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. I think we're gonna see a lot of good stuff. Maybe in the semis, quarters, and consolation side of things. Hey, we got the spreadsheet master himself with you.
I was gonna say, yeah, if anybody knows John Mackey at all right, this is you can buy this tomorrow in the program. All right, it'll be with all of the brackets. They'll be printed off. It's all of the returning state qualifiers, place winners, and all of the state rankings. So, and Mackey's he's our spreadsheet guy. So yeah, he squares away all that stuff. It's worth $3 or $5, whatever they charge for it. It's a lot of really good information and kind of our scoop weight class by weight class, you know, that very similar to what Bi State and the WIA state tournament have done in the past. So
we got a YouTuber Bodie saying that Jake Koss should be higher. His evidence being that he has that dog in him. So so watch out for Jake Koss from Simley.
Oh, Jake Koss at number 6 should be higher because he's got that dog in him.
That wasn't in the criteria.
Yeah, they should have listed that, all right, in the criteria, because I tell you what, it's the dog house, all right, tomorrow. So yeah,
he might.
If he has that dog in him, we're gonna find out tomorrow in the quarters and semis.
He might get like an effect advantage or something. Like his stats might be boosted if that's the case.
Speed.
Yeah.
I mean, gets to prove himself against Knoyer in the quarterfinals potentially. All right, but let's move to 120 here.
How many guys you got tuned in here?
Real quick, we're at 73 right now. I just want to say, because I was pouring something before 106. I just had to get more water. I wasn't like tying one off in the Eau Claire North High School. So, you know, yeah.
Thanks for not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just going to clarify that.
No, I think everybody could tell with the water bottle that's what was going on. So,
well, hey, anyone in college knows that anything could be in that water bottle. So
if you see him at LPAT tomorrow night at 11:30, all right, you should be concerned. All right. But for tonight, all right. Yeah.
Isn't the Husky Invite sponsored by Baracho?
It should be. It should be. So we should work on that for next year.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So we go moving on to 120. Morvari, state champ. He's the number 1 seed. We got Sawyer Ostrom is a returning state qualifier at the 2. Knoyer's at the 3. All right. We've got Sturba at the 4. We'll see you tomorrow there. Get out of there. Hey, can you get somebody to roll these bleachers out? Is there any custodians left? You got them yourself? All right, we should. That's the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Pernsteiner. He's the guy that set this whole thing up. So Teague,
and he's really good at filling airtime too. Let me tell you.
I got you an answer on that. I was off. It wasn't Osseo, Minnesota. It was Zembroda, Mazeppa. Just so you know, and it was Cade Steffens, or I think I sent it to you. So
Zembroda. Oh, you did. Cade Steffens. It must have been his freshman year. Or sorry, 2016.
The fans have been hanging on.
I know. I got to make sure. I got to go over to Eau Claire Memorial now.
All right. Hey, let us know how that goes. All right. Mr. Pernsteiner, you know, he's setting up the JV tournament tonight. All right. He's probably running a swim meet tomorrow too. So Sturba, Teal is the 5 seed. Sigmund is the 6. Fleck is the 7. And then Garcia rounds out our 8th seed at 120 pounds. Those are our top 8 guys as they are seeded. We'll see how it shakes out tomorrow in the actual wrestling.
I'll just say this. Brandon Mavari, I mean, I don't know who we lost to this year. I'd love to hear it. But
find out tomorrow, yeah.
Pernsteiner needs to answer something else for us, but we'll worry about that tomorrow. Mavari lost to Colton Hush of Baldwin Woodville, and that was when he was up at 113 pounds. And then I see him like win the Christmas tournament at 106, and then does what he does at state last year. Like that. This is a good bracket, but again, it's kind of like 113 where Mavari is just a cut or 2 above the rest. So I'm taking Brandon Mavari. That's two Simley picks out of 3 weight classes right now.
Yeah, I think that's always the sign of a good tournament. 2nd at the Husky, 1st in state. You know, that's a really
it was Ari. Ari also placed higher than his.
That is right. There's a couple brackets here where we'll probably talk about how, you know, if you're placing higher at the WIA state tournament than the Eau Claire North Husky Invite, that says something about your tournament.
How about this potential finals match though?
Well, yeah, speaking of Colton Hush, we just talked about him, and now we're on to 126. He's our number 1 seed right now, from Baldwin Woodville. Peters of Kaukauna, who also took 2nd last year, is the 2 seed. Kamish from New Richmond, who was 1 match away from placing at last year's state tournament, had a great tournament, seeded 4th. You've got another state qualifier in Turner Campbell from Holman at the 5 seed. And then you've got Lucas Ryan, 7-1 of Arrowhead at 7. Theo Hovde of Bloomer Colfax at the 7. Sorry, Lucas Ryan at the 6. Justin McManus, it rounds out at the 8. So those are your top 8 seeds at 126 pounds.
I mean, even looking at some of the battles just to make the semis, we got Wait, where's number 3 in that? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, we might have to resave the seeds and reset them. So I'll work my way down.
Oh,
on
okay.
that.
So Camish is the 3, Campbell 4, Ryan
Hamish is the
5.
3. Yep. We might have to reset those seeds. So I'm not going to monkey with it right now, but I will. Obviously, some stuff must have gotten mixed around here.
So Campbell, yeah, at least we do the glad we did this so we can find
go.
that now. Campbell
had-
and Ryan, I mean, that's just going to be a fun match in the quarterfinals just to see who can make it to the semis. Hush and Peters, I mean, I think it's a straight up coin flip. Peters he's on a roll right now. I know he did just lose to Nolan Skiba, who, man, Nolan Skiba's had himself a year from Hortonville, but we're talking about Husky wrestlers right now. I hope that ends up being the finals match. You can't overlook Camish either. He had a really good year last year. And then what really impressed me about Camish is that he beat the guy that beat him in sectionals in the first round at state. So I'm stuck between Hush and Peters. I'll take Hush on this one. I think some guys, they do really well at certain tournaments, and maybe the Husky is just kind of Hush's gig. So
Teague, I thought for a moment you were going to break out the patented coin flip app, as I know the Wisconsin wrestlers.
oh
they're
yeah,
really good at
Wisconsin wrestler signature. If Rebhan wasn't sharing his screen, I would, but we'll save that for some other shows here.
Well, another tough
Good
bracket
reference.
here at 132 pounds. McDowell of Arrowhead is sitting at the 1. Kakana at the 2. Weiler of Auburndale at the 3. Krieger at the 4. And all 4 first seeds are state qualifiers, with your top 3 seeds being returning state place winners. And then Salas of Simley, who was 5th at the Cheesehead last year, which is obviously an extremely tough tournament. He's sitting at the 5. Kellen Kelly of St. Croix Falls is at the 6. Brecken Brzezinski and Kellen Kelly, both state qualifiers. All right. At the 5 or at the 6 and the 7. And then you've got Jude Stark of Medford at the 8th seed. So this is quite the bracket when you've got a state qualifier all the way down to the 7th seed. This is a pretty tough bracket here.
Well, even Cole Brosh, who I don't think he made state last year. I gotta keep up with Mr. Mackey's program here.
what it's for, man.
I think Brosh,
Use your cheat sheet here. Yeah.
if he's
right
not
there.
ranked coming in, he's a really solid wrestler that isn't even projected seeding wise to make the quarterfinals right now. That just shows how deep this bracket is. I know a lot of people are going to look at that potential finals match right away, but Colton Weiler had himself a year last year. He's had himself a really good offseason too. And then Krieger and Salas, again, it seems like all the 4-5 matchups are really they're going to make the quarterfinals round. Just an absolute barn burner, I would say. Between McDowell and Winans, would someone from Arrowhead want to tell me who McDowell's loss was to this year? Maybe I should be more well versed on that.
Do you not have track wrestling pulled up, you rookie?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, I actually do have track wrestling pulled up. Fun fact. I'm gonna take McDowell in this one, and I am a huge Winan fan, but I'm a huge Winans fan, I should say. But McDowell just really impresses me. I know I'm going against the second Kakana guy in the finals, but I think their time is coming here soon.
All right, there you go. Oh, you're good. That's funny. Moving on to 138. I was just looking at, we had a couple Stillwater kids on here. There was
Ignore
a
those.
slight miscommunication. So unless we get a call in the next 20 minutes, I don't think Stillwater's coming tomorrow.
Double A, not triple
So
A.
yeah, it was just a slight miscommunication there. So that's all right.
Wait, what's up?
You got Stillwater. There's a couple Stillwater kids on this printout, so we just got to fix. They're not.
They
gonna
got to
here
be
tomorrow.
deleted. Just ignore the Stillwater.
Oh, Stillwater's the team that can't make it.
No, they were. They were never
weren't
coming.
originally in the
They
tournament.
weren't coming.
They were incorrectly on my list.
Yeah,
That's why we even printed these, folks. Errors happen. 99.7%
we just.
accurate.
We're going through it. It'll get fixed on
I did
itself.
like when I was killing time, I gave a whole spiel on Grayson Agam.
Yeah, no, they never talked about coming, but all right, we just
If
might
they
have
want
manifested it. Yeah, I was
if
gonna
they
say
want to.
we might if Stillwater's here next year, we're all gonna know the moment that we made it happen. We might have just manifested it right there.
McDowell's
lost,
lost. Oh, I watched the match. McDowell lost to Jaden Shepard at Gunslinger.
You knew that. All right.
Yeah, that was a good match. All right. Anyways, keep going. 138.
Yeah, it goes without saying. I think this could be another one with some fireworks. You got a returning 3-time state champion, Grayson Clark, at the 1 seed. Kellen Ari, second place at state last year, Menominee at the 2. Connor Krumer, Arrowhead at the 3. Ethan Dobbs of Viroqua at 4. Tyler Fink of Baldwin Woodville at the 5. JJ Salas Assembly at the 6. Caden Clark of St. Croix Falls at the 7. And the Phillips kid, Daniel Adamides at the 8.
I think it can be highlighted too that JJ Salas being the 6th seed, but also a defending Husky Invite champ is pretty astounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that like the first criteria when you're going through this tournament?
Not in a
Typically.
typical
No.
year, that would be a higher criteria. Last year with us getting snowed out, you're kind of comparing apples to oranges a little bit. So, and it's a tough bracket too. I mean, everybody above him is a returning state qualifier. So this is going to be a tough one. I think that, that could be a wild 6-3 match in the quarters. I think the 4-5 match is going to have there's just going to be a lot of really, really good matches in this bracket. So
According to my Simly sources on the YouTube stream, James Salas pinned Krumer twice. Also does go by JJ, so get to see a good quarterfinals match there. Ari again. I said it on the preview show. I know Clark did tech Ari at the Who's the Big Cheese event in the off season, but Ari's just a dude I love to see him wrestle every time. I think he's looking to get better, and I just think it's tougher for a guy to wrestle someone a second time. That being said, I'm not going to go against Grayson Clark here. So Grayson Clark is going to be my pick here at 138.
I feel like Kellen always wrestles really well in the doghouse. I'm just saying that, like in the sectionals was here last year. I just think he gets after it in the doghouse. I think it's going to be, Grayson Clark is obviously, all right, a absolute dude, but I think he's probably going to have a pretty good day tomorrow too.
Some would say Kellen wrestles better at the Kohl Center though.
Right, that would say, well, that was it again. So that was a tough quarterfinal match. Kellen was the 2 seed last year. Deschutes was the 7. And Kellen did get knocked off in the quarters at the Husky Invite last year in a close match. And speaking of, all right, Wyatt is the number 1 seed here, defending state champ at 145 pounds. He's our 1 seed at 145 pounds. Then Schrant of Simley, who took 4th, is our 2 seed. Andrew Weiss, a state qualifier last year, is the 3. Gartman is the 4, state qualifier for Baldwin Woodville. Connor Smith is the 5, state qualifier for Kakana last year. Bo Gabriel is the 6. Jesse Brune is the 7. And Alex Whitaker of Chautauqua Prairie Farm is the 8. Those are your top 8 seeds at 145 pounds.
Vision Quest podcast saying Smith, just Smith. But I guess on that note, if I had to bet someone to out wrestle their seed, it would be Connor Smith. Good 4 ahead of him, but Connor Smith showed me at Team State last year when he took the wind out of Holman Sales in the first match in the Team State finals. He's a good kid. He's someone I kind of overlooked all year, and I'm not going to forget about him ever again, probably for the rest of my life.
39 varsity wins, and he's last year, so he's sitting there with all those other state qualifiers.
In terms of my championship pick, again, I think a lot of the excitement is going to be these 2nd through 6th or 7th guys duking it out, but ultimately we all know it's the Du Chateau show at 145. I'm taking Wyatt here.
Yeah.
Defending Husky Invite MVP
champ
last year. Yeah,
MVP. That's right.
He was the most outstanding wrestler last year.
I think I lost my voice in that one.
Yep, that was a wild,
crazy.
It was a wild finals match, and he was. So he's our most outstanding wrestler last year. So 152. Moving on, Lakeville North, Zach Hansen. We're really excited to welcome in Lakeville North this year. They got a solid group of guys and some really good wrestlers. So he's a state champ last year. Cash Raymond is a 3-time state place winner, and he took 2nd, 3rd, 3rd. He's a 7th at the Cheesehead. He's sitting at 2. Druckery was a state qualifier for Arrowhead. He's the 3. Austin Schmidt of Baldwin Woodville is the 4. Lauschewitz of Medford is a state qualifier, and he's 2 and 3 this year, but he's a returning state qualifier, so he's the 5. Huset of Chautauqua Prairie Farm is the 6. Grabo of Stratford is the 8th, and Jason Thomas of Superior is the 8th. Grabo is the 7. So you got a kid with 32 wins last year. I mean, there's another solid bracket here.
A lot of lot of undefeated's going to go down tomorrow in this bracket.
Yep.
That being said, you know, I love my Wisconsin wrestling. I mean, I have a podcast about it. I think it's going to be an all Minnesota finals in this one.
Yep.
And I'm going to, I was looking at state results, and
Hanson.
I don't want to even say it's a dark horse because he's the 2 seed, but I'm going to take Raymond with an upset in the finals here.
Ooh.
An on paper upset, I would say.
Oh.
I was gonna say that's a 1-2 match. If that it is wrestled in the finals, I mean, those are two really good kids. So moving on to
this is how the seeds are going to be set, right? Hopefully there's no miscommunication between the seating committee and the coaches.
This is it. So yeah, I mean it is what it is, you know, but at the same time, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, wrestlers beat their seeds every year. So Short for Simley is the number 1 seed, state place winner last year. Kraus of Lakeville North is the 2. Primer of Viroqua is the 3. Hoppy of Abbey Colby is the 4. Galmatico of Arrowhead is the 5. Becker Stratford 6. Crook from Kakana is the 7. And Barkovich of the Dogs sitting at the 8th seed right now. So he's hanging.
Love to see it. He'll hope to see him in the doghouse by the end of the day.
That would be an ideal situation for everybody. So yeah.
I mean, this bracket, I think the top 2, again, 2 guys that probably stick out, but I think we do get a chance to see freshman Liam Crook, who took out a sectional place winner. He teched him last week, and Chris Meyer from Appleton West. I mean, you're a 7 seed as a freshman. You get a chance to prove yourself against the 2 seed in the quarterfinals. Maybe this is last year's kind of Du Chateau's coming out party. Maybe this year's Crook's coming out party.
Yeah.
At the Husky Invite.
Hey, dreams are made here at the Husky Invite.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the 7
Did
seeds.
you notice too? Du Chateau went on a run the rest of the year, won the state title. So it's
There you go.
things begin here. It's how it works.
On that note, I did pick Du Chateau to win last year too, I think.
We're gonna have to check the receipts on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember that.
We need proof.
Yeah, actually, did I even make picks last year?
I don't know if you even made picks.
I might have just lied.
11.
That might have just been a straight up lie.
I think it was just an hour of us talking about what could have been for brackets because we got filled out. So
Crook would be a fun championship pick here, but it's hard to pick against a Short from Simley. That's just going to be a fun bracket in general, just with the young talent here. These seeds are not going to work out perfectly 1 through 8 or 1 through 10. However far back it gets placed out.
no,
there's
gonna be some shakeups.
I'm gonna go chalky though in this bracket and go Bristol Short. Also, Ramon Galmatico from Arrowhead. I think he moved from California. Arrowhead has walkout songs for their home duels. His song was California Love, so it doesn't get much better than that.
All right. There you
Oh,
go.
I hope he wins tomorrow. That's so good.
That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
We're in Cali.
Wait, hey, can we go to 152 here? Was Griffin Marco not wrestling in general?
He's out tomorrow.
Yep.
So
Okay.
he's a
All
scratch.
right. Let's go to 170. Just
That's
had
a That's a good catch there. Yeah, unfortunately he's a scratch. So not sure what happened there. I don't have any more information other than that. So 170 pounds, Travis Smith, 1 seed, 52 wins last year, 4th at state. Then you've got Judah of Kakana, returning state qualifier. Logan Kawa of Medford area at the 3. Isaiah Essen of Superior at the 4. Blake Rippenberg, Arrowhead at the 5. Caleb Crummel, Stratford at the 6. Dane Luchterhand of Neilsville, Greenwood Loyal at the 7. And Anthony DePietro of Viroqua sitting at the 8. 170 pounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna on this one. Honestly, there's a lot of names that I'm not familiar with on this one. So again, that's just gonna be it's gonna be a fun day for me in general. Like there's a few at the top of the bracket, but I think again could be a bracket where we see a lower seed guy make a name for himself, like Isaiah Essen from Superior. Gonna be fun to see what he's made of. Judah Hammond, really solid wrestler, but Travis Smith placing 4th. That's like it's kind of like a quiet 4th, I would say. You see who he lost to like in his matches at state. And I mean, he was a Cheesehead champ last year. So, oh yeah, Travis Smith placed higher at the Cheesehead than he did the Husky Invite. Gonna take Travis Smith in this one.
All right.
Teague, I don't know what you want more from us. You're speaking
Yeah.
everything the people want to hear, and that's
There
what
you
we're here for, to give people what they want.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a wild. Obviously, Cheesehead's an unreal tournament. So you place higher there. That's something else.
We we got one question here before we move on. I think it was at 126 or 132, but how is JJ Salas ranked 6th when he pinned the 3 seed twice and won the Husky Invite last year? Like you guys said, the Husky Invite wasn't like the main criteria on that, and also
It was lower. It's bottom. It's a lower criteria this year because of where just where the chips fall. So I don't know. Going back, we can go back to 126.
Also, coaches did have a chance to make an argument for their wrestlers as well. And I think knowing the Simley coaches, like they're just going to wrestle their matches. It's the matter. We don't care where they're seated. They're just going to wrestle it. So Mr. Salas, I think, he gets the match that he wants in the quarterfinals. He gets a guy that he pinned twice. So I would argue that the seeding worked out. But
yeah, I think he's going to get some good matches either way. He's at 38, I think. So, right?
38. Oh yeah, 38. That's what I am.
Yeah. I mean, you got a number 1 kid in the state. You got a number 2 kid in the state. There's nothing in here about criteria. So if he beat him, he didn't beat him this year. So it's 8-0 versus 1-1, but it's a 3 versus a 6. So yeah, I mean, they'll get to see each other in the quarterfinals. So, and if you beat that guy, essentially you take his seed the rest of the way is kind of how it works. So yeah.
I just pin him a 3rd time. Yeah. That's
Don't you have to beat everyone to win the tournament anyways, Teague?
yeah, exactly.
That is
Got to go
usually
undefeated to win, right?
typically how that
No,
works.
I do. I will, on a serious note, for Mr. Salas, that is a fair point to bring up. It was a good question, but we get all our questions answered tomorrow. That's what we love about this sport.
That's the truth. So moving on to 182, another guy who had a breakout here at the Husky, Mulvaney, has the top seed at 182. He took 2nd last year at state. Roach is a returning state qualifier. And then you have Wenziski of Kokona, Carter Luke of Stratford, Aiden Drost of Rice Lake, Ethan Rebenzer of Bloomer Colfax, Devin Serla of Superior, and Eric Kleinhans of Whitehall. 182 top 8 seats.
I want to say I'm excited to see where Rice Lake falls in this. They secretly have they quietly have a lot of guys in the top 10 in seeding, and if a lot of them wrestle well, we could see Rice Lake, maybe not wrestling for like the team title, but he can secure a top 5, top 7 finish at this tournament. That's a pretty solid day. Also, Stratford in general, I'm excited to see what they're made of.
This is their first year. They were supposed to come last year, but we got snowed out, so we're excited to have the Tigers up here.
What was I gonna? Oh, going off this note, on the top 3 here, I like to see Wenzicky and Roach at that 3 and 2 seed. I would maybe argue, I think this is around where I left Wenzicky's the 2 seed, but again, that's something we get to see tomorrow. Roach is a very good wrestler in his own right. Wenzicky, I would argue, is probably one of the best guys that did make the state tournament last year, stuck behind Alexander and Gibbons. But I got to go with Mr. Mulvaney, who won a 4-point match last year or something. I know.
Yeah, he's defending Husky Invite champ down there. So
I know him and Smith both got double digits in that one. That was probably one of my favorite matches. But Du Chateau and DeBlair was right up there as well.
Yeah, there's going to be some good ones tomorrow, but I think that this is a bracket that's going to have some really solid ones as well. So moving on to 195 pounds, Jackson Ormond of Stratford. Speaking of the Tigers, sitting in the 1 spot. He took 3rd last year at state. Schramek of Blair Taylor is a returning state qualifier at the 2. You got Simley at the 3, returning state qualifier. Polzinski of Arrowhead at the 4. DePietro of Viroqua at the 5. Easton Stone is at the 6. Dorshorst of Auburndale at the 7. And then Riley Johnson of Chautauqua Prairie Farm at the 8.
Tech Prairie Farm, again, another team where, I've heard their name probably 3 or 4 times in that top 8. I know they're in kind of a grinder of a regional and a sectional, but just judging by their schedule, putting the Husky on, I think they're expecting big things out of their team. So that'll be a fun team to watch this year. I know Viroqua doesn't have a full roster, but the talent they're bringing is pretty good. Checking out DePietro at that 5 spot. And then The top 4 seeds, man. I think it could go either way. I think Lana I think he wasn't even the first guy, wasn't even the first Simley guy at his weight class. I think he was the second dude there. Is he in the same weight class as Nelson or something?
No, Nelson's at 220.
Last year
Last year he had 34 wins. I think he was the section camp and he was a state qualifier last year. I believe he was at 95 last year as well. He took third.
Him and Soren were in the same weight class last year.
He took third at the Husky last year. Yeah.
He wasn't even like the point scorer for his team.
No,
but,
no. That was when we were able to add more than one entrant just because of the smaller number of people. Kind of hard to do that with 32 teams and 16-man brackets tomorrow.
I mean, flip a coin on this one. I know I'd probably have like half the Simley lineup if I go with Odawaye, but I'm gonna go with one of my D3 boys here, and I think Jackson Schrammick takes it.
Ooh, okay, all right.
The Blair Taylor pick, I like it.
Okay, 220.
So I don't have a Stratford champ, which is gonna come back to bite me.
Yeah, probably that's fine.
Oh, hey, wait, real quick question, Jake. Someone's asking, can we view brackets on track wrestling?
Brackets won't be built until tomorrow after weigh-ins. It's a good question. So we're looking at the top 8 seeds tonight. They are going to push out the seeds. I think tonight around 10 o'clock or 10:30, and then that you'll be able to see all the seeds. And then tomorrow, if we have any scratches, we'll have to delete those kids and then move our way through the tournament.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
You bet. So 220. Gavin Nelson. He is a dude. He state place winner, 55. Ranked nationally, 2-time state champ. Sloan Welch of Auburndale is a really, really fun wrestler to watch. Senior this year, had 40 wins, was a state qualifier last year. And Jordan Luce of Kakana, 31 wins. That could be a wild 2-3 match. Ron White of Holman is at the 4. Sammy Espinel of Bloomer Colfax is the 5. Willie Graham of Stanley Boyd is the 6. Thor Sather of Chautauqua Prairie Farm is the 7. And Rogstad of Blair Taylor at the 8.
Yeah, on this one, gonna be a deep bracket, I would say. I would love to, as a Holman person, I'd love to see a Ron White upset on a top 5 guy in the nation. I just don't think it's going to happen in the semifinals. In terms of locking in a champion, I think Gavin Nelson would probably be number 1 on guys I'm most confident in picking a champion in. I mean, we're in Northwest Wisconsin, so I think it's natural that we go back to Coy Hopke. But just for reference, people, he gave Coy Hopke a 1-point match at the Cheesehead last year. And I think that's probably could be a 50-50 match in general if they wrestle it 10 times. I mean, Nelson's the real deal, man. And I think he is wrestling for Minnesota after he graduates. So he's going to be fun to watch. I would tell people, make sure you watch a Nelson match. Yeah. If you don't see him pin someone in like the first period or something. But
Minnesota's a good fit. Seem like they always got those obviously tough heavyweights, tough big guys. So
the Zaw. Oh wow, look at this.
Oh yeah.
This is a wild one here at 285. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing is I will say, like, we are not taking the MVP ballots until all the matches are done. You got to give the big guys a shout, and this could be a really, really good finals match. And there's going to be, but that being said, going to be a scrap to get there. So Simley, you got 2 guys that are returning state finalists at the 1 and 2 seed, and Herzog and Hoffman. I think
current number 1s in their own state, respectively. Also,
I think really the only thing in the tie-breaking criteria is you're talking 54 wins last year to 39. 2 really, really good wrestlers. Connor Pop of Lakeville North is your 3. Baraboo of Baldwin Woodville is your 4. Krieger of Kakana is the 5. He had 32 wins last year. Bradley Chautauqua Prairie Farm is the 6. Summers of Phillips is the 7. And Casey Johnson of St. Croix Falls is your 8th seed. It's going to be a wild one at heavyweight.
Yeah. Okay, let's just go right to the top 2 here. I mean, again, I'm not as familiar with Minnesota wrestling. Maybe Connor Pop has a day, but I'm confident that this is going to be a Herzog Hoffman finals. I just think, thinking about results from last year, and a lot can happen in an offseason. I know Hoffman had a really good year last year. Hoffman, lost to Robert Beasy of Amory in the finals. He also beat him one time as well. I think that was also in the postseason. Was that sectionals? I think. Yeah, they wrestled 2 weekends in a row. But Herzog is the guy I was talking about it with the folks that were on me, but before we started the seeding. Herzog beat Max Ramberg last year, and Max Ramberg, kind of a dude who was on another level. He was an upper tier guy. Hoffman and Beasy also upper tier guys, but I think Ramberg was like even kind of a level above that, and Herzog beating him. Herzog also, he had a really good match against Cale Hopke at the Cheesehead. It's hard to go against the Zog, man, and it really hurts to pick against a really good Wisconsin kid here, but I think Soren Herzog breaks the hearts of Wisconsinites again, this time in the last match at the Husky Invite.
And not to mention his 50+ wins, big testament to how good he is.
I also had 50 wins in my career. So, yeah.
I will say, for a guy that's got the Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast, you did pick a lot of Minnesota guys there. But, all right, I'm not making my picks. Yeah, we're just coming to coach tomorrow and run the tournament. So I will say, quick shout out, the bleachers. I mean, we're all ready to roll here. We got all 4 mats set up. Our event staff is going to do an amazing job. Tomorrow it's going to be really fun. And I mean, it's worth it. Even we've got people that have called and said they're just going to come for the finals. They're going to drive from like a different tournament, come watch the finals of this one. Teague will be on the mic all day tomorrow. If you go to Eau Claire North Athletics, Husky TV, we've got our YouTube channel. We'll also share that out on Eau Claire North Wrestling. Check it out, follow live along. He's going to be going, we're going to have a lot of really great wrestling in the doghouse for both our men's and women's tournament all day long. So super, super excited to get it going. It's going to be a really, really fun day of wrestling tomorrow.
Gonna give a shout out while we still got folks on here. Oh, what the heck? I accidentally minimized for the folks still on here. Huge shout out to the Daktronics Club. They're the ones that make all the streaming happen. So for folks that can't make it, yeah, they're gonna be hanging out in the dog den, gonna have a camera guy basically running like a red zone camera for me all day. Love hanging out with those kids. I was with them for sectionals last year as well. So got to give props to the tech-minded folks. Thanks for hopping on, folks. Thank you, Jake and John, for coming on. Everything you guys do for this tournament. Thanks, Mike, for everything he does as well. I know he's over at Memorial at the moment, but
and that's the other thing is as good as this varsity tournament is, there's 387 kids signed up for our JV tournament across town over in Memorial. That's going to be a tough JV tournament just with the sheer quality of the varsity that we have here. It's going to be there are 5-man brackets over there tomorrow. And if you get one of those, we tell our kids this is a good measuring stick for you as a junior varsity wrestler, because this is going to be some great competition tomorrow.
Yeah, Mike just does a great job. It's great to have a wrestling minded athletic director, let me tell you. So thank you guys for everything you do for the tournament. Also, Jake, I did give you credit. Maybe I'm lying about the Du Chateau pick. I'm going to look back and see, but I gave you credit that the seating thing was your idea. So thanks for, you're kind of the reason we're here and the support from everyone watching right now. But yeah, tomorrow's going to be fun. I'm going to be on the mic. We're going to have some special guests throughout the day. Going to have Brad Cook, Josh Raymond on. Pern's going to jump on at some point. We'll get Rebhan on too. Maybe we'll get John talking some spreadsheets with us. Who knows? Not going to have Brandon Eggum because his kid will not be wrestling here tomorrow. But
apologies to the people in Stillwater. They somehow made the list. Yeah, we will delete them before these hit the printing press.
I tell you what, though. All right, yeah. I like I said, if they're here next year, I think we just manifested something. There is a waiting list. All right, but if Stillwater called me right now,
maybe jump them up.
What are we gonna do? So
can't say no.
Thank you for tuning in, folks. And until tomorrow, whether I see you at the doghouse or you're listening on the live stream, we will catch you on the flip side.
Adios.